can feel it. This knowing that in order to move in the direction of the divine, you change certain habits. Release any rituals or habits that you may have established that do not contribute to your purpose. You pursue positive change by focusing on the greater mission. Understanding that only through service to others will you be able to overcome the obstacles that ego has placed in your path. Stay the course. Stay the course. Stay on the path. We say amen and amen. Well, happy Mother's Day.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, Glenn. Yes, we all have a little bit of the maternal in us. Hard to see sometimes. Hard to feel. Here's what Rumi says about it. When you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you. A river of joy. So this is, of course, maybe an idealized sense of what mothers do, but a lot of times that is what's going on. They put up with a lot of stuff. So I've written a couple of poems about Mother's Day, and I shared them last year, and I'll go ahead and do it again today. So this first one is called Mother's Day Rush. The Mother's Day Rush at a nice restaurant. Okay? So sitting at a corner table alone, just observing, listening, the servers hurried, harried. It's been a long day. The strain in their smiles noticed only by me. Grown children trying to make nice with each other. Old conflict bubbling just below the surface. Judging each other's gifts. Mothers graciously accepting those gifts, seeming not to notice that they're all cheap and purchased without much thought. Conversation skims across the surface of banality. Feeling my own loss. Tears welling, I want to warn them. Wake up. Too soon. She will be gone.
That's nice.
mother's heart endures hurt, neglect, underappreciation, and still loves. Always holding the highest hope for those in her care. Let my heart become like that. A heart that can hold all things, and even breaking just opens it up to contain more. All right, that's enough of that. Get over it. So, to stay on course, to stay on track, it's so interesting, and it fits. Of course, it fits. All of us are on the path. Sometimes I really don't want to see it. I don't want to acknowledge that those that I disagree with, those that for whatever reason today, a different thing that I'm upset with because of some behavior of theirs that I judge, or some philosophy that I may believe that they hold, that they're not on a path. They're on some something, right? They're on some other stuff. And but the fact is that we're all on the path. I know sometimes it seems like some of us are going in the wrong direction, and sometimes that someone is me, right? And but it's really not true, because we actually are all moving forward on the path. And again, it might seem like it's very slow. And the Course says about this path is that if you follow what the Course in Miracles says, you can save some time. But it's also very clear that everybody is going to get to the destination at the end of the path. Everybody. So I talked about this before, that I saw a bumper sticker once that said, Hitler went to heaven. And at first I was very offended by the bumper sticker, because I thought it meant that Hitler was rewarded for his crimes by going to heaven. Then I realized that what it said was everybody in, nobody out. Now, maybe the person driving the car thought that it meant that he had performed a service in his atrocities, right? Could have been. But this idea of universal salvation is what a couple of the old fundamentalist churches who have changed their philosophy around what they call it. These folks have been put out of their original organization because of this idea of universal salvation, that everybody's in. And they have a tenet that they say, well, it's very clear in Scripture that Jesus says that in John that he has given himself for all the shortcomings of everybody else. Everything is forgiven. You're all in. It's done now. But that really doesn't make for a good church, I guess. If you're already in, you just, if you are thinking you're going to church to make it to heaven, then if everybody's already in, you might as well go on a picnic. You might as well go to see the Avengers, right? You need to be going to church. See, everybody that comes here, they know they're already in, so they don't worry about it if they get here every week. They don't worry about it. They know it's cool. Everything's fine. Maybe they may look at the video later this week, right? So, everybody in. So now here is this deal, though. We have a mission. Now we can ignore it. We can ignore the mission, we can ignore the purpose. But what that does is when we ignore the purpose is it makes us slow down on the path. That's all. That's the only thing it does. So ultimately, now here's the thing though, when we ignore our mission and we get guilty about it, and that just slows us down more. Just slows us down more. If we feel guilty, feel, like, oh, I should have done more, I should be doing more, I should be farther along the way. None of it is actually relevant at all, because we're all going to get there. We're all going to get there. But the question is, how much suffering do we want? How much suffering, how long do we want to keep pushing the rock up to the top of the mountain every day, only to have it roll down on top of us and then start again the next morning? How long do we want to keep this thing going? Well, the ego will say forever. Let's keep it going forever. Because, of course, that's how it finds its existence. We were talking Wednesday during the Course in Miracles meeting about where we're going and what this, what it is, this destination, and so the meditation was talking about being on a path and moving somewhere, and I'll say again that where we're going is to the foot of a bridge. This path is leading us to the foot of a bridge. And it is the bridge from our present condition, which is separation, to our original condition, which is oneness, which is unity, which is what we say is the kingdom of heaven. So from the kingdom of separation to the kingdom of heaven, from direct literal definition from the Catholic Church that hell is separation from God. So from our path leads us to the foot of the bridge that goes from hell to heaven. So what I'm saying is this world that we cling to, this existence that we are trying to desperately hold on to, is really hell. And you say some days it gets bad and you think, oh, it can't get any worse than this, but it can. Because that's the design. That's how we've designed it. To keep ourselves occupied with the suffering so that we don't remember that we really belong in this kingdom of heaven. The thing about this is nobody is keeping us here. There is no gatekeeper. There are no minions, no demons of Satan outside of ourselves that are keeping us a prisoner here. We are doing it ourselves. We're doing it ourselves in our own mind. So we're on this path. And so the path, since it's in our own mind, the path is all about perception. The path is all about how we see things. And so this spiritual path is about moving from one perspective to another, moving down the road from seeing things one way to seeing things a different way. And this is the key to what the Course in Miracles is talking about, but it's actually the key to forgiveness. Moving in our minds from one perspective to another is forgiveness. Instead of seeing our own shortcomings, instead of focusing on the failings, perceived failings of others, we learn how to see it differently. And as we learn how to see it differently more and more, we move closer and closer to the bridge. when we get to the foot of the bridge, and it says all that we have to make this happen, the only thing that it requires is just a little bit of willingness. And in the meditation we said, I'm willing to stay the course. A little bit of willingness moves us down that path, eventually to the foot of the bridge. A little bit of willingness. I'm willing to meet my destiny. It's already here. Look at. I don't believe in predestination in the way that things as they happen are they're just set and those things can't be changed. I'm talking about destiny in the ultimate sense that eventually we're getting to the foot of the bridge. That's destiny. There's some other ways to think about it. Is destiny having a purpose or is it a fate? The dictionary says both. Here we're not talking about predesperation though, or predestination. We're speaking of destiny as potential to develop and maintain a sense of destiny. In other words, to develop in our mind, saying, yes, I know I am on the path. I am going in this direction, and to keep that in mind no matter what else happens. We're examples. We are teaching to learn. We're examples. We want to be intentional in our endeavors, holding our purpose of service. We're willing to reach out into the future. We're doing what we can today to reach out into the future to the extent that we can embrace that vision, that we can give this vision to those around us. And when we begin to stand firmly in each moment and reach out into the future with vision, we become magnets, which pull us all forward. Become agents of change for good. To be willing to teach so that we can learn. This is the thing. This was a very strange concept, but I see it so clearly. We're continually teaching what we need to learn. Sometimes we're teaching what we need to learn in a negative way. Our bad behavior is our lesson. But many times it's the words that come out of our mouth. We're saying the things, we are aspiring to things that are really messages to ourselves. To truly use this tremendous power of will for the good of all, we become involved in change. And so this original state that we were in, there is no change there. But here, this whole thing that we're doing is about change. It's about changing the suffering into bliss at every opportunity. So how we do that is each and every one of us has a place. We have a place and a task, and we're in the middle of something in our lives. No need to change the circumstances of our lives, but just to change how we interact in the circumstances of our lives. What happens is we become active in rebuilding the political landscape, just based on the principles of love. To say that no matter what, causing suffering to others is not part of the path. No matter how expedient it seems, no matter what kind of risk there seems to be, a little bit of willingness. You know, part of this willingness. Part of this willingness is the willingness to be cared for. It's Mother's Day.
I know it's Mother's Day.
Allow yourself to be cared for. Here, listen, just think about this. Your mother may be gone. Mother may be long gone. But there's somebody right now in your life who, if you give them the opportunity, will give you a little bit of mothering. Take it. Allow yourself to be cared for, to be comforted. Sometimes I think about God that way. I know that it's just a symbol, but I think about God as being this great mother. And I visualize myself crawling up into her lap and getting myself lost in the folds of her dress and being held, knowing that everything is okay, that I'm protected, that I'm cared for, and that this great mother will allow nothing bad to happen to me. To be willing to love. Relax. Breathe. Relax into love. Surrendered, we seek a different kind of love than we have pursued before. But we need the willingness to allow it to extend from us, to extend from us so that we can feel it being extended to us. We'll release this silly need for approval, running around needy all the time. We no longer have to require others to act in a certain way to gain our approval. And give affection freely and find that we receive the same gift. Tender. We soften long-held prejudice. It's so easy. Any kind of judgment thought that comes to mind, if we just stop for a second, give love to it. You can just feel it. You can just feel it fade away. The coldness that once gripped us in judgments is warmed by intimacy. We care very much, knowing that we are cared for very much. This deep intimacy becomes deep affection. Be willing to live. Be willing to live, not sit around and watch other people live. Be willing to live. We have an animated body. We have animated a body, and still we do not live. We have consciousness of a self that does not really exist. We ignore the present and thereby totally miss out on life as it happens. Self-centered living will never be sufficient. We've already seen that self-seeking is never satisfied. Remembering that alone we're powerless. Alone we're powerless. Help is available. We can continually release the machinations of ego. We decide. This is what will is all about. There's a little bit of willingness is decision making. We decide to turn our will and our lives over to the care of a loving God. When we do this, we're not abdicating our own responsibilities. We know we're still going to have to do the things that we need to do. We're just saying we know that as we do the things we need to do, that we're cared for. So we don't have to be afraid all the time. Take the help that's offered. Get rid of that false pride. Help is being offered all the time, all around us. This new way of life will be different in our approach. We begin each task with a sense of connectedness, feeling that we're part of a family, part of a community. The connection is a direct result of attaching ourselves and our efforts to that power that's greater than ourselves. Finally, to be willing to release fear. This is the deal. This is what keeps us from doing the things that make us happy. This is the thing that keeps us from doing the things that we're supposed to do to fulfill whatever it is in our lives that we're supposed to fulfill. To release the fear, we can go from fearful to fearless. It's not that we will not from time to time experience fear. It will still be present. We just learn to let it go. We will sometimes think that we still need to be in control. Let it go. These control issues arise out of self-centered fear. We may be afraid we will not get what we want, or worse, that we will lose what we have. These fears could be about material things, or they could be concerns about emotional situations. Doesn't matter. If we believe that we're cared for by creation, we can have faith that we will never lose, we will gain. What seems to be a loss turns into a wonderful, wonderful blessing. One door closes, another door opens, they told me. Then when I was falling through the trap door, I said, nobody told me. Positive results begin with our first attempts at this deep surrender, and whenever fear arises, just breathe. Just know it. Oh, fear. Fear, I know you. We've met before. Welcome. Come and sit down with me. Cup of tea? Just notice and accept that this is just a passing experience. Spirit just came for a moment to visit. Check it out. What does it feel like? Let fear be whatever it wants to be. Examine the feelings and then notice that if we keep our attention on it, how it changes. We see how it changes, and then we realize it's not us. Just a temporary passing thing. Just a temporary flavor. A bad taste that came to pass. That's enough.